Before we begin, since this is a BBC-owned property, I feel the need to point out that the news arm of the BBC has a continuing issue with transphobic leanings in its news coverage. You can find in a pinned comment below various videos from both myself and other YouTubers covering this issue. And while I understand that the Doctor Who creative team is not responsible for this, I will continue to point this out for as long as it remains a consistent issue. Thank you. What is the Doctor without the right companion? And here was me thinking we were done with Doctor Who announcements for a little while. Apologies if I seem a little bit low energy. I'm actually getting over a cold. It's been kind of rough the last couple days. It's not COVID, but, you know, still. Anyways, we now know who's going to be playing the companion to Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor after the David Tennant specials happen. This was revealed at Children in Need, and the reveal was actress Millie Gibson, who I know pretty much nothing about. I mean, I know what I looked up on Wikipedia. She's been on Coronation Street, which is a soap opera in the UK, for quite a while, and she has actually gotten awards for her performances there. And that's certainly not a bad sign at all. Honestly, what might be the funniest thing to me was seeing so many people on Twitter, including like a number of sort of YouTubers who I know, sort of freaking out that the new companion is so much younger than them. It's like, dudes, I've been dealing with companions younger than me since Amy Pond. Welcome to the frickin' club. Anyways, so I don't have a lot to go off of in terms of knowing her previous performances. It's kind of the same with Ncuti Gatwa. I kind of have to go by what I see from just a general presence in the little bits that we now have. And she seems energetic. She seems very excited to be there. There was also sort of a little interview thing done between Ncuti Gatwa and her, where he asked her a number of questions. They had some banter. They seemed to have like just good direct chemistry. They bounced off each other really well. They seemed both very happy to be there. And to hear Gatwa say it, he personally was so impressed with her audition that
as soon as you left the room for your audition, I was like, Russell, that is the companion. The companion.
Oh,
just magic.
Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it was Gatwa's call, but he is saying that she was the one that he felt was going to best embody the character. We do also have a character name, that being Ruby Sunday, which tells us nothing, and I don't have an opinion on. Somebody at some point is going to make a Ruby Tuesday joke. Like, that has to happen now. Not that I'm saying it'd be a good thing that it happened, but like, I'd be shocked if it doesn't. But other than that, there isn't a heck of a lot to go on. We don't know where Ruby is coming from in terms of either where she lives, presumably somewhere in the UK, or what point in time she comes from. However, this is where I'm going to get a little bit speculative, because even though things like the interview between Ncuti Gatwa and Millie Gibson looked largely unscripted, it was still edited. The things that were included and allowed to go public are things that have basically been approved and be like, yes, that's fine to know. And Russell T. Davies, current showrunner, has been kind of notorious being very careful in terms of what he allows to get out there and get hinted at, including outright lying at times. But I'm going to get speculative because that's kind of all I have to go off of. We don't know enough about the character for me to actually have a heck of a big opinion. I'm also not presuming that that's what she's going to be wearing actually as the companion. I don't presume that that's a costume that she's going to be wearing. Same with the things that we are currently seeing Ncuti Gatwa in. So I don't think we've had costume reveals. I think those will come later. So the things I'm going to get speculative about mainly have to do with what I can guess based off things that have been said, either in this little interview or by Gatwa before when he did a little thing. And that went up like a month or two ago. I can't remember now. But what he said there that some people kind of jumped on and I chose to ignore at the time is that when he described the companion, he specifically said human.
Doctor Who is a show about an alien Time Lord with two hearts who travels through time and space with a human companion by their side in the Tardis.
Which I had always kind of presumed, like, one of the things I've been complaining about with modern era Doctor Who is the companions, they have a tendency to be pretty samey. I mean, there are exceptions here and there, but by and large, young women from the UK modern era. We had a chance to break from that if Clara had been kept as the governess version of her from the Snowmen, which I actually would have liked. I really liked that version of Clara, but we didn't get that. And we've had some exceptions here and there. Donna being a little bit older. The fam with Jodie Whittaker. You had Ryan and you had Graham initially, and then later on Dan, who kind of shook things up. We had Rory back with Amy, but like the core companion, the main companion, has generally fit this mold, and it would appear that Millie is likely to do the same as well. Now, you go back to classic era Doctor Who, companions could be from anywhere. There were companions from other planets, the future, the past, other Time Lords. It was such a wide variety. Now, most of them were human, and a good chunk of them were from the modern era. But it wasn't every time. And some of my favorite companions break that. I love Jamie McCrimmon. Him and the Second Doctor are amazing, and he's from a further point in history, plus, a dude. And it's just such a different dynamic from almost any other Doctor and companion pairing. And it's great. The Fourth Doctor and Romana, especially the second version of Romana, Lalla Ward, were also great together, though I like original Romana as well. But again, from a completely different point in time. Nyssa, Adric, so many people from all over the place, but here, like, all the time. Modern day. That's kind of the big thing. Like, I'm willing to let go of them being human. But why are they always from the contemporaneous era? Are we really still at a point where we think we need that window into the Doctor, that if we don't have a modern era person's perspective, we won't get what's going on? Unfortunately, I think the show might actually think that. And by the show, I mean the people currently involved in it. Because in the little interviewy thing with Ncuti Gatwa, Millie Gibson says flat out,
well, they are the eyes into your world. And they are the audience eyes to see what will happen in your universe.
And I'm not going to say that's wrong. I have said in the past that I think a good, strong core relationship between the Doctor and the companion is a lot of insight into who the Doctor is. And it's a way that I frequently understand them. But again, speaking only for myself, I don't need the companion to bear that much a resemblance to me directly. It's just the nature of the dynamic that's going to tell me a lot. Again, I'll point to something like the Second Doctor and Jamie as being a really great example of how their dynamic told a lot about them, but Jamie's perspective was not a modern day perspective. He was from way in the past. So the idea that they need to be from now still frustrates me. And at this point, I am just assuming that that's going to be the case, because while at present unconfirmed, and it is possible I'm wrong about this, but just to hear them talk about it, I'm just getting that impression all over again. And that is frustrating for me, because it's getting old. And I know that to a certain extent, each new era is kind of treated as a little bit of a soft reboot and a chance for new people to come in. And maybe there's a certain amount of pressure either from the BBC or just internally with the creative team to be like, we need to be sure that this is accessible to new people. So like, I kind of get it from that perspective, except that there's also a heck of a lot of old fans, especially with you bringing Russell T Davies back to run the show again. You're going to be getting back a lot of people who know the deal, who don't need the modern eyes. Another reason that I think that modern era Doctor Who has a tendency to lean very heavily on this is, frankly, as a form of budget control. Because if you have a contemporaneous modern era companion, that gives you a lot more reason to have a lot more stories set in the here and now, which can just be shot on available locations. You don't have to build elaborate sets. You don't have to use a ton of CGI. Now, how much of an impact that is for the particular upcoming series, it's hard to say because we've now got Disney involved. Did a whole video on that. And while Disney does not suddenly own Doctor Who, they are contributing some of the funds to the production. Doctor Who has more money to play with. So while I think that has been part of the consideration in the past for why companions are from modern era, that shouldn't necessarily need to be one going forward. I mean, I suppose it depends on what the money gets allocated to. Maybe it's intended much more for promotional purposes than anything else. Who knows? But it makes me, it's the first thing, honestly, to kind of make me nervous about this upcoming era. It's also a little bit of a disappointment because I had kind of hoped that Yasmin Finney would carry over from the specials that David Tennant's going to be in. Now, we don't know a ton about her character either, but I had kind of hoped, seemed like it would have been a really neat idea, and so now I know that's not happening. I mean, maybe she wasn't available for more than the specials. There could be all kinds of mitigating circumstances as to why she's not staying on. At least by any indication that we currently have, and certainly not as the primary companion. But, part of me had hoped, but I frequently have my hopes dashed on that. When it was revealed that Graham and Ryan were both leaving and Yaz was staying on for the Series 13, aka Flux, I got excited because I wanted to see that relationship develop, not in a shipping way. I don't actually care too much about the shipping, but just in terms of building a stronger dynamic. And then they announced another additional companion when they brought in Dan. And I didn't dislike Dan when he showed up, but it just became another thing where I'm like, you had the opportunity to do something that I would have liked to have seen, and you just didn't. You just didn't do it. So I'm feeling a little bit the same way about not keeping Yasmin Finney on, partially because it's been a while. We've only had in the modern era 2 companions carry over and stick around from one regeneration to the next. Rose Tyler and Clara Oswald. That's it. All the rest have been contained within a single era, and I think it would have been a decent time to sort of revive that and have someone, if Yaz as a character, Mandip Gill, wasn't going to stick around, then possibly to have Yasmin Finney accompany David Tennant's 14th Doctor, I guess we're still going with that, through whatever's going on there, and then to stick around after that. I mean, just doing the carryover, that's a dynamic that hasn't been done all that much. And I think if we're going to be stuck with so much other stuff that is very standard at this point, such as a young woman from contemporary England, then, doing something to shake it up a little so it's not checking all the same boxes would have been nice. Again, this is speculative on my part. It's possible that I could end up being wrong about some of this. I kind of hope that I am. But I don't really have a firm belief behind that. It is just hope. I don't have a reason to believe that she won't be from modern era. And could we stop? Could we take a break from that? More than anything, I used to complain about it being young, traditionally attractive women as well. I've kind of let that go partially because we've had some shakeups from that. We had Donna being a bit older than the others. We've had Graham, we've had Ryan, we've had Dan. We've had some mix-ups as far as that stuff goes. But at this point, it is the contemporary origin for the companion that has yet to be broken in this modern era. Not even once. Come on. Can we get a break from that? And no, one-off companions from specials don't count. I'm talking about primary sustained companions. Oh, well. I don't know. I'm sure she'll be fine in the part. I don't doubt that. I'm sure she did, in fact, kill it in the audition. And like I said, she's got just really good presence and chemistry with Ncuti Gatwa. So, I'm not worried about their dynamic. I'm sure she'll be fine. It's just that on paper, what I am fairly confident saying she's likely to be is just something I'm less interested in. Doesn't mean I can't turn around on it, but it does mean that The concept isn't exciting for me. So the performances and the stories that are being told with these characters, I really kind of need to be quite good, because your basic premise, or at least what I'm presuming to be your basic premise, doesn't super excite me. But it's early. I expect the next thing we'll probably get is an outfit reveal, although I'm expecting that some months down the line. Probably not until they start shooting whatever ends up being Gatwa's first series, which will probably start shooting in the next few months. And then there will, well, either it'll just leak, or they'll try and get ahead of that and do like a formal reveal of the outfit, like was done with some of the past Doctors. It was done with Whittaker. It was done with Capaldi. So, like, maybe we'll get that. That's kind of what I'm expecting to be the next thing. And then, probably a few months after that, some ramp-ups on things like trailers for the Tenet specials. That's kind of what I'm presuming is coming down the line. But, I don't know. Maybe they'll throw some more curveballs at me. I'm not expecting I'll have to turn something around fairly quickly, like I did with this, despite getting over a cold. What are your thoughts on any of this? On the casting, on my concerns, whatever. Whatever they are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Patreon's what pays the bills around here and allows me to do this as my living. Like, share, subscribe are also a huge help, but even if you can't, what I really want you to remember is that you are beautiful, you are valid, and you are loved. You are the council. I'm just running the meetings. And until next time, this council is adjourned. End credits. That means I need to shout out my top Patreon supporters: Robin Moore, Zupin Lutfula, Tarak, the thing that goes doink in the anime, Oliver B., Linda Walters, Emu Delkey, Leotha Boyd, Toy Loli, Becky Sparks, Renabi Likes the Poodle, Zach, Tracy Scrabbit, Angry Casperl, Adam RDL Taylor, Shay Lagourlay, Brendan LaRose, and TT. Thank you so much for your support. You can get your name in the credits too by checking out the rewards on the Patreon. You only tried to eat my earring once this time. That's much better.